My cousin, Lily, was a Chinese woman who lived her entire life for beautiful photos. In my past life, my family and I were on a trip to Indonesia. Along the way, because I couldn't capture any photos that satisfied her, she deliberately pushed me into a volcanic crater while we were climbing. Was she trying to make me look bad, to prevent me from becoming famous? Then just die, she seemed to imply. And I did. I died at the mouth of the volcano, while she, by posting check-in photos identical to mine online, seized the opportunity to become a hot new influencer. When I opened my eyes, I was back on the day before our trip. This time, I resolved to bring all 3 cameras with me. Hearing my cousin Lily's words, I bowed my head and looked at my travel suitcase, so stuffed there was no room for anything else. I knew then that I had been reborn. On the other side, Lily was still chattering away. Besides the cameras, you also need to bring the tripod, the selfie stick, the reflector. As she spoke, she pulled item after item out of my suitcase. That scene triggered a flood of memories from my past life. My cousin, Lily, was a Chinese woman who lived her entire life for beautiful photos, possessing a deep obsession with photography. In my past life, during our family trip to Indonesia, because I couldn't capture a single photo that satisfied her, she repeatedly pointed her finger in my face and hurled terrible insults at me. Later, despite everyone's objections, she wore a long dress to climb the volcano. As I pressed the shutter, she accidentally stepped on her dress. She nearly fell, but I quickly reached out to pull her back. Yet in that struggle, she pushed me instead. "Useless trash, your death is no loss," she sneered. "It's an honor for you to trade your life for mine." Behind me, I heard my parents' screams. I didn't even have a chance to look at them one last time before the deep chasm swallowed me whole. 75 meters. Exactly 75 meters. The moment I hit the ground, excruciating pain coursed through my entire body. Then I sank into darkness. My accident made the front page, while my cousin Lily posted identical check-in photos, exploiting the incident to gain fame. Life was like a desolate wasteland. Unexpectedly, when I opened my eyes, I was back one day before the trip. "Oh, that's right, there's also the Polaroid camera. How could I forget that?" Her words pulled me back to the present. The face before me morphed into the twisted, malicious visage from my past life, and endless hatred surged within me. This time, I flung my suitcase open. "If you want to bring these things, pay for your own luggage. Don't be so shameless and try to exploit me." My cousin Lily, startled by my outburst, was stunned that I would lose my temper. But she quickly regained her composure, her expression shifting as if this was all perfectly normal. "Cousin Luna," she said, "I'm just borrowing your suitcase. Why are you so petty? No wonder you're still single." I remained unmoved, finding it rather amusing. "You know you're taking up space in my suitcase, yet you brazenly demand to bring all sorts of things, then call me petty? Who's the one unwilling to pay for their own luggage then?" My words made her face flush crimson. She shrieked, "I'm younger than you, shouldn't you make a little concession for me? Mom, look at Cousin Luna." At this point, as usual, my mother stepped in to mediate. "Come on, Luna, you're the older sister, you should give in a little to your cousin." My voice was icy. "No matter what, not a single item I need to bring can be left behind." I was resolute, refusing to compromise. Finally, my mother had to suggest that Lily put her belongings in her own suitcase, and the matter temporarily subsided. At this moment, Lily sat in the living room watching TV, a disgruntled look on her face. I pulled my parents into my room, intending to persuade them to cancel the trip. But no matter what I said, they refused to waste the plane tickets. Out of options, I could only take things as they came. If my cousin Lily was determined to walk herself into a trap, then so be it. The next morning, we boarded our flight to Indonesia right on schedule. To save money, this time we opted for a late-night flight. As soon as we settled into our seats, Lily eagerly took out her phone to snap photos. Not long after, she began to complain, "It's so dark outside, the pictures are going to look terrible." Immediately after, she opened her phone, turned on the flash with an extremely loud click, and the blinding light made it impossible for me to open my eyes. Instinctively, I cried out, "What are you doing?" She shot me a contemptuous glance, as if looking at an idiot. "Are you blind? I'm just taking pictures, what's the big deal?" I found her incomprehensible, but remembering the consequences of meddling in others' affairs, I ultimately didn't stop her. Just like that, she continued to nonchalantly take photos for over 10 minutes. The passenger next to her finally couldn't take it anymore. He tapped her shoulder and said, "Miss, please, could you turn off your flash? I can't sleep with it on." The person spoke very politely, but Lily glared at her. "My taking photos has nothing to do with you. If you can't sleep, put on an eye mask." Hearing this, the woman frowned. "What kind of attitude is that? You're affecting my sleep, you know? Who do you think you are?" "I like taking pictures, and if you can't stand it, then get out of here." The two quickly got into a heated argument, their voices growing louder and louder. The eyes of the surrounding passengers began to turn towards them. Not wanting any further embarrassment, I pulled Lily's sleeve and softly said, "That's enough." "Enough of what?" Lily angrily shook off my hand. "Don't you dare stop me." She suddenly jumped up, climbed onto her seat, turned on her phone's flashlight, and shone it directly into the woman's face, pointing her finger and shouting, "You think you're worthy of telling me what to do? I'm going to record your ugly face." "What are you doing?" The woman constantly recoiled from the light. Lily swung her arms wildly like a raging beast. The commotion quickly drew the flight attendant. After understanding the situation, the flight attendant approached with a smile. "Ma'am, I apologize, but this is a public space, and your behavior is affecting other passengers. We ask for your understanding and cooperation." Hearing this, Lily sneered. Which clause says no flash on a plane? Show it to me. I'm defending my rights, understand?" The flight attendant was speechless. Lily, emboldened, chuckled. "How ridiculous. Just a service employee daring to be arrogant with me. Where's your manager? Call them out here. I want to file a complaint." No sooner had she finished speaking, before the flight attendant could even react, a man in the distance stood up. "Are you still planning to complain? I've never seen anyone so shameless." His voice boomed. Lily, refusing to back down, retorted, "Who are you to dare?" But she swallowed her words mid-sentence as the man strode towards them. He was tall, with a strong, muscular build, clearly someone who exercised regularly. When he stood before Lily, his imposing presence was palpable. "We all saw what just happened," he stated clearly. "You are clearly the unreasonable one here. You want to complain? Go ahead. I'd like to see which side the airline takes." As soon as he finished speaking, other passengers chimed in simultaneously. "Exactly. We've never seen such an unruly person." Lily, furious, was about to retort, but the man's piercing gaze visibly weakened her resolve. She stammered for a while, and finally, under the pressure of the crowd, could only curse under her breath before sitting down and turning off her flash. The passenger next to her sneered, "Typical, only knows how to bully the weaker ones." Seeing Lily being put in her place, I felt a smirk forming on my face. Lily was an only child, pampered like a jewel by her parents since she was little. She got everything she wanted, and when she did something wrong, she was always coddled. As she grew older, she became increasingly selfish and lawless. In my past life, under my parents' guidance, I often considered myself her older sister and tried to correct her bad habits. Even when she behaved terribly, I endured it. Now, looking back, it was utterly foolish and pointless. Thinking this, I slowly closed my eyes. Sooner or later, she would pay the price. A night passed, and the next morning we finally arrived in Surabaya. From the airport, we went straight to the hotel. To save money, Lily and I shared a room. I had barely slept on the plane, and with a volcano climb scheduled for dawn, I planned to catch a quick nap. But no sooner had I laid down than Lily began to chatter excitedly. On our first day in Indonesia, I absolutely have to do my makeup perfectly for photos. She turned, her face filled with disdain, and ordered, "Luna, I haven't forgotten what happened on the plane. Later, you'll have to take my photos as atonement." As my head hit the pillow, I was so tired I could barely keep my eyes open. I intended to sleep for a bit, but Lily immediately put down her makeup kit and violently yanked my blanket off. She leaned down and shouted, "Sleep? What sleep?" I said, "I want to take photos. Are you deaf?" Her sudden scream felt like it pierced my eardrums, making my entire body tremble. The extreme exhaustion instantly transformed into intense fury, almost making me scream back. My heart ached from the provocation. I had to take several deep breaths to calm myself. I glared at her furiously. "Are you insane?" Lily tossed her head dismissively. "Your delay made me miss my chance to post on social media. Just wait and see how I deal with you." Seeing her attitude, I intended to give her a good scolding, but the words died on my lips, feeling it wasn't worth it. I suppressed my irritation. "Now, your photos won't look good anyway. Why not rest and save your energy? Tonight, when we climb the volcano, the photos will be stunning, amazing everyone." Hearing this, Lily's eyes immediately lit up. "You're right. she said, then changed her tone. But don't think I'm letting you off the hook because of that. Taking my photos is your honor. For the next hour, she deliberately made loud noises, preventing me from getting any rest. When my patience reached its limit, I became unusually calm. After a full day of taking photos with her, the tour guide finally arrived to take us to the volcano. The path is dangerous. Everyone must wear comfortable sports shoes. It's dusty on the mountain, so you'll need to wear glasses and masks. The guide, a dark-skinned local, meticulously advised us on every detail. Although our family had prepared carefully before the trip, my parents still double-checked every item. Only Lily seemed completely unconcerned. A mask and glasses will cover my whole face. What's there to photograph then? She grumbled. She looked the guide up and down, making a disgusted face, and stepped away. I prepared a special floral dress and flip-flops. Who would want to dress like that country bumpkin? My mother, hearing this, immediately grew worried. Lily, safety must come first when traveling. Photos are secondary. Lily subtly sneered, muttering, "Old woman, what do you know?" I couldn't believe my ears. What did you just say? My parents' eyes widened in astonishment. Lily pouted, feigning indifference, and turned to ask me, "What did I say? Your hearing must be terrible, Luna." I was about to scold her when the guide, with his broken Chinese, interrupted, "We depart in half an hour." Lily happily changed into her floral dress and put on her flip-flops. My mother tried to offer more advice, but I stopped her. Good advice is wasted on those who deserve to die. I wanted to see what her fate would be. At 2 a.m., we arrived at the foot of the volcano. There were many tourists, all neatly dressed and ready to climb. Only Lily stood out in her floral dress and sandals. Passers-by couldn't help but stare, and she smugly thought, "I'm definitely the most eye-catching." Under the guide's direction, we began our ascent. The path was steep and full of loose rocks. First, Lily enthusiastically took photos everywhere, but after 10 minutes she began to pant and complain. "What kind of ridiculous path is this? Why is climbing so hard? How much further? I'm exhausted." The guide tried to comfort her, extending a hand to help her. Unexpectedly, Lily reacted violently, slapping his hand away. "Don't you dare touch me with your dirty hands. That's disgusting." The guide, surprised by the slap, stood bewildered, not understanding what she had said. I was about to explain when a piercing scream rang out. "Ah!" I turned to see Lily, who moments ago had been so arrogant, now stumbling, arms flailing, falling backward. With a thud, she landed flat on her face, arms and legs splayed wildly, and a few soft chuckles echoed around us. My mother reacted quickly, rushing to help her up. After resting, Lily tremblingly lifted her dress. Both knees were severely bruised. The guide stepped forward to inquire, but she immediately shrieked, veins bulging in her neck, eyes bloodshot. "I'm in so much pain. It's all your fault for not helping me sooner. What are your hands even for? Just chop them off, you useless good-for-nothing." She wildly screamed and cursed, unleashing a stream of vulgar English. The guide awkwardly took out bandages and medicine, but she immediately swatted them to the ground and stomped on them. My mother quickly comforted her, trying to apply the medicine. I just stood there, watching indifferently as Lily grimaced in pain, gritting her teeth, her face contorted. I found it amusing. The mountain path was inherently slippery, yet she insisted on wearing flip-flops. Her fall was nothing but her own doing. After half an hour of struggling in place, the guide asked Lily if she wanted to continue climbing. I don't know what she was thinking, but she suddenly turned her anger on me, her distorted face screaming, "When we were at the foot of the mountain, you should have pushed a cart for me. Now look, both my hands are practically useless. It's all your fault." "I did ask if you wanted a cart back then," I calmly replied. "You said I was looking down on you. Regretting it now, are we?" My words infuriated her, driving her even wilder. "Don't talk nonsense. Go find a cart for me now." I nonchalantly nodded. "All right, but you'll have to pay for it yourself. 500 per ride." "What?" I spoke each word clearly. "Either you pay yourself or you stay put. This situation is entirely your own making. You bear the responsibility." From childhood to adulthood, Lily had never endured such indignation. She screamed, cried, and criticized me in front of my parents. But this time, even they felt she had gone too far and didn't utter a word in her defense. So her tantrum was in vain. Annoyed, I tugged my parents, intending to leave. Luna, you stand right there," Lily shrieked from behind. I ignored her and continued walking. It wasn't until we were about 100 meters away that she finally started anxiously calling her parents, begging for money. Finally, her wish was granted, and she sat in a pulled cart. Her mood instantly improved and she took out her phone to take photos again. But the higher we climbed, the denser the volcanic ash and sulfur fumes became. Even with a mask, the pungent, acrid smell seeped in. I felt suffocated, my throat burning. Looking back, my parents were visibly uncomfortable. Lily, on the other hand, wore nothing on her face. At first, she only coughed softly, but the higher we went, the more violently she coughed, her eyes red from the smoke. Yet she still tried not to rub them, fearing she'd smudge her makeup. Passing a store, my mother saw her coughing so much and asked, "Lily, why don't you buy a mask?" Lily's voice was hoarse and cold. "I already said I don't need it. Don't you understand human speech, old woman? So annoying." My mother was choked by her words, embarrassed. She bit her lip and said nothing more. A little further up, Lily's symptoms worsened, but she remained stubborn. "I absolutely must be the most beautiful person at the top of the mountain." Just then, a thick plume of smoke swept over. No sooner had Lily finished speaking than she took a deep breath and then coughed violently and incessantly. For 5 minutes, she coughed continuously, tears and snot streaming down her face. Due to extreme discomfort, she began to dry heave, saliva dripping down her chin. Her makeup completely melted, smudged black and white, her face as pale as a corpse, looking both ridiculous and pathetic. Just then, a few Chinese tourists walked by, their whispers clearly audible. "That's the girl, her family kindly offered to buy her a mask, but she cursed them out. Exactly, so ungrateful. She brought this upon herself." Their voices were loud enough for Lily to hear. Just as she was about to retort, she suddenly vomited violently, and there was even blood. Bystanders were stunned. She quickly covered her mouth with her hand, but immediately after, she vomited again. The stench was nauseating. By the time she stopped, she looked like a pathetic ghost, a complete contrast to her initial arrogant demeanor. The physical pain completely eroded her arrogance. Sitting in the pulled cart, she weakly called out to me, "Cousin Luna, I was wrong. Can you please buy me a mask?" Seeing her like that, I slowly approached her and said coldly, "Only regretting it now." "What kind of tone did you use with my mother earlier?" Normally, Lily would have flown into a rage at this point, but now she couldn't even sit upright, only weakly pleading, "Auntie, I'm sorry, I was wrong, please save me." For the first time, my mother didn't immediately rush to comfort her. Her voice was icy. "Lily, your mischief should have limits." Even my father, who rarely spoke up, reprimanded her for the first time. "How many times has your mother reminded you before, and you never listened?" Despite their words, my parents still went back to buy her a mask and protective glasses, just in case something worse happened. Meanwhile, Lily lay limp like a dead fish in the pulled cart. After a long and arduous journey, an hour later, we finally reached the summit. The peak was swarming with people, all lining up to take check-in photos. My parents and I obediently joined the queue. But Lily, who had just moments ago been as weak as if on her deathbed, suddenly charged straight to the front of the line, disregarding everyone. She pushed her way forward, shoving the girl who was taking a photo to one side, ignoring the condemning glares from everyone around her, and hoarsely screamed, "Everyone get out of the way, don't block my shot." Someone behind her cursed, "Don't you know how to queue? How uncivilized, don't embarrass the Chinese people." But Lily showed no shame whatsoever. On the contrary, she defiantly retorted, "I'm sick, what's wrong with everyone giving way a little?" After saying that, she began taking selfies, but I felt something was off. In my past life, she had clearly called on me to take her photos, so I tried asking, "Lily, do you need my help taking pictures?" Hearing my voice, Lily frowned, revealing a look of disgust. "Don't be so fake here. If you want to make it up to me, it's too late. Get lost, don't be an eyesore." With that, she ignored me and continued striking ridiculous poses. The complaints behind her grew louder, but she seemed not to hear them, completely immersed in her own world. The girl she had pushed couldn't take it anymore. Angrily, she said, "I've never seen anyone so ill-mannered. Didn't your parents teach you common courtesy?" Lily scoffed. "You dare to talk about me? Look at yourself. If I were as ugly as you, I'd be too ashamed to take photos." "What did you say?" "I said you're wasted space, a fat pig blocking the way and wasting resources." The girl trembled with rage, breathing heavily as she stepped forward to argue. But just then, Lily suddenly reached out and shoved her hard. The girl was pushed and fell, losing her balance and collapsing. Lily clutched her stomach and burst out laughing. "Ha, look at your idiotic face, what a joke." She laughed so hard she leaned back, pointing at the girl who was on the ground, covering her face in shame. "Only now do you feel ashamed? Too late, you dead pig." Then, with a triumphant sneer, she even pretended to spit at the girl. But in that very instant, in a flash of destiny, Lily suddenly slipped, and her entire body uncontrollably toppled backward. Her expression of horror seemed to play out in slow motion, vividly clear in my eyes. Memories of my past life flooded back, leaving me paralyzed. Everything was completely different from last time. This time, she hadn't asked me to take her photo, and I wasn't standing next to her. Everything happened too suddenly, with no time to react. Help, help. A ear-piercing scream echoed as Lily lost her balance and plunged straight into the chasm. The girl from earlier, who was closest to her, frantically reached out to grab her dress, but the speed of the fall was too fast. In an instant, she vanished, leaving only her cries for help echoing everywhere. The crowd frantically called the police. Someone fell. Oh my God, it's a cliff, can she survive? Call an Indonesian ambulance. What's the number? Chinese and English mixed together, and the entire area descended into chaos. Only I remained still as a stone statue. Reborn in this life, my fate and hers had changed. My parents were calling Lily's parents. The sound of anguished cries transmitted through the phone. Half an hour later, the police arrived and took statements from all the witnesses one by one. After hearing the situation, they sighed helplessly. It was an accident indeed. The rescue team also arrived shortly after. Helicopters flew down into the chasm. The operation was massive. Everyone waited anxiously. But the first search yielded no results, so we had to return to the hotel. My mother paced back and forth, consumed by extreme worry. What do we do now? Lily was with us, and if something like this happens, how can our family bear it? My father just sighed heavily. I, however, remained strangely calm. The next morning, the rescue team resumed their work. Our entire family stood waiting outside the cordoned-off area. My mother, visibly withered overnight, clasped her hands and prayed, "Oh God, please protect Lily and bring her back safely." But I remembered my death in the past life and knew that Lily would hardly escape this time unscathed. In my past life, she was wicked, causing my unjust death simply because I couldn't take a good photo. Now, what happened was entirely her own doing. No one else was to blame. Thinking this, I felt an immense sense of relief and satisfaction. But then a strong wind blew, the helicopter landed, and the rescue team disembarked, carrying an unbelievable piece of news. Lily is still alive. How can that be? I was so shocked I couldn't believe it, asking repeatedly, but the answer remained the same. The police officer said sternly, "This girl is very lucky. She got caught in a tree, but her entire body is severely injured. She needs to be taken to the hospital immediately." Just as predicted, an ambulance soon arrived, and we followed it. Lily lay on the stretcher, covered in blood, her skin and flesh mangled, her face disfigured, a complete contrast to her former arrogant appearance. With great difficulty, we reached the hospital, and she was immediately rushed into the emergency room. After a long wait, the doctor emerged, his face strained. "Her life has been saved for now, but the patient needs an amputation. Who is the family? Please sign the consent form quickly." My parents looked at each other and had to explain a lot to the doctor, but due to the emergency, they ultimately had to sign. When Lily's surgery concluded and she was moved to a hospital room, it was already dawn. Our entire family stood around her bed, no one uttering a word. Just then, the hurried clicks of high heels echoed from the hallway. "I entrusted my daughter to you, and this is how you take care of her. I'll fight you all." I looked up and saw Aunt Sophie. She lunged, grabbing my hair and yanking it hard. "You bitch, you must pay for my daughter's life." My scalp burned with pain. Before I could react, my mother rushed forward. "Are you insane? How is this related to my daughter?" Aunt Sophie's eyes bulged. She took off her high heel and threw it straight at my mother. "You're also a bitch. Today I won't spare any of your family." The two women lunged at each other, fighting. My father tried to intervene but was blocked by Uncle Ben. The scene was utterly chaotic and only paused when a nurse rushed over to break them up. Aunt Sophie plopped down onto a chair, crossed her arms, and glared aggressively. "I'm not letting this go. You must compensate us 5 million yuan. 5 million? My mother gasped in shock. Aunt Sophie was adamant, not a single cent less. I tilted my head and slowly said, "At the cliff, Lily herself was the one who pushed someone else, and then she slipped and fell on her own. This has nothing to do with our family. On what grounds do you demand compensation from us?" "You dare to argue?" Aunt Sophie's eyes bulged with fury. "I never thought you'd be so mouthy. If you hadn't insisted on taking her climbing, none of this would have happened." I calmly looked her straight in the eyes. That day, who begged our family to let Lily travel to broaden her horizons, who said they would cover all expenses themselves, who kept saying in the group chat that she wanted to go to the volcano for photos of a lifetime. I opened my phone and showed her the group chat. In reality, it was Lily herself who proposed going volcano climbing, constantly mentioning that her idol had also checked in there. My mother initially objected, fearing the danger, but Lily even sent a series of voice messages calling my mother old-fashioned. Now you're trying to shift all the blame onto us, not a chance. Aunt Sophie blinked several times, a flicker of guilt crossing her face, but then she quickly shrieked, her saliva almost spraying onto my face. I see it clearly now. Your family is just calculating and doesn't want to pay. You've harmed my daughter like this. You must give her back her leg, you devils. My poor daughter. That very night, Aunt Sophie immediately started a live stream, feigning weakness and tears. She fabricated the entire story from beginning to end, then began to lament that my family was cruel and inhumane. They're a bunch of cold-blooded monsters who have ruined my daughter's life like this. She's only 18, she's still a child. Coincidentally, the topic of the volcano was trending, so the livestream room was instantly flooded with viewers, comments flying in. Oh my God, how pitiful. Her youth was like a blooming flower, and now she'll be in a wheelchair for life. That family deserves divine punishment. Their relatives, how could they be so cruel? Do you need legal support? I'm ready to help. Not only that, a wave of netizens began sending virtual gifts to Aunt Sophie. Sparkling effects filled the screen. Aunt Sophie thanked them tearfully. Thank you, everyone, for your support. At this time, there is still justice, there are still good people. After this dramatic exaggeration, netizens grew even more enraged. Can anyone find out this family's identity? Give me their address, I'll hire someone to deal with them. Hell is empty, and all the devils are here on earth. Curses targeting my family grew in number. My mother, watching the live stream, couldn't bear it anymore. Luna, maybe we should come forward and explain a little. How can we stand this? Looking at the scene before me, I found it utterly ridiculous. These netizens, knowing nothing of the full story, rushed to become tools for others, completely lacking critical judgment. Helplessly, I turned to comfort my mother. It's okay, Mom. Let me figure out how to handle this. Just as I was confused and unsure what to do, a comment unexpectedly caught my eye. Listening now, it seems like this is the family of the girl who fell down the volcano in Indonesia. That's right, the IP matches too. Immediately, someone else chimed in. It seems so. I was also at the scene that day. Their words piqued others' curiosity even more, and comments immediately flooded in, demanding details. Another account spoke up. That day, the girl arrived and cut in line, even pushing someone down, then she slipped and fell on her own. Yes, I saw that too. She even called someone a fat pig and spat at them. Some people began to feel uneasy. Oh my God, are you serious? But the streamer said her family watched her die and didn't help. The witness immediately replied, that girl clearly brought it upon herself. She even chased everyone away, saying they were blocking her photo op. When it happened, no one could have saved her. The narrative began to reverse, and netizens gradually grew agitated. Unbelievable, is there proof? So this streamer is faking pity to gain sympathy? At this point, more and more people in the live stream room demanded an explanation from Aunt Sophie. Realizing the tide of comments was turning, Aunt Sophie stammered, unsure what to say, and finally hastily ended the live stream. But even so, the incident quickly shot to the top of social media trending topics. Hot girl falls from volcano, family of girl who fell demands compensation, girl pushed and insulted before falling. Everyone discussed it heatedly, and several tourists who were at the scene that day even posted videos they had recorded. The comment sections exploded. Oh my God, how could anyone be so ill-mannered? What kind of family raised her? If she were my daughter, I'd be utterly ashamed. What happened today is clear karma. She brought it upon herself? Public opinion shifted dramatically. More and more people released evidence of Lily's ridiculous past behavior, such as deliberately using her flash on the plane or cursing at the tour guide. Aunt Sophie's social media accounts were flooded with attacks from netizens. How do you raise your child? She clearly brought it upon herself, yet you blame others. Disgusting, you're good at deceiving people, but if you make your own karma, don't expect to live in peace. In the end, Aunt Sophie had to delete her account. A week later, Aunt Sophie called my entire family to the hospital. By this time, Lily could speak again. As soon as she saw me, her eyes widened as if she wanted to devour me alive. Luna, you dare to come here? You dare to show your face? You're the one who ruined me like this, you damned bitch. My leg, my face, I'll kill you. She tried to struggle and swing her arms, but she was powerless. All that remained was a vicious, hateful glare combined with a distorted, ravaged face that looked utterly grotesque. But I treated her as if she were air, leaning against the wall and calmly asking, "What do you need us for?" Aunt Sophie immediately did a 180-degree turn in her attitude. Before she could even speak, tears welled up. "Sister, Luna, look at Lily now, with her leg amputated, her face ruined. How will she live her life now?" Previously, my mother would have been easily swayed by Aunt Sophie's pitiful act. Otherwise, she wouldn't have covered all of Lily's travel expenses. But after that livestream, my mother finally realized the true nature of her niece. I said coldly, "So what?" Aunt Sophie changed her tone, crying and pulling my mother's arm. "Sister, Luna, we're family after all. How about you help us out a little? Just 500,000 yuan, consider it taking care of your niece a little." Before my mother could reply, Lily agitatedly shrieked, "Mom, their whole family almost killed me. Now they've left me disabled and you're only asking for 500,000. I want them to pay with their lives, that's not even enough." Ignoring my mother, who was pulling my arm, I walked straight up to Lily. "Why don't you open your phone and check social media yourself?" "What do you mean?" I didn't want to argue further. "Just watch and you'll see." Lily immediately shrieked, "Mom. What's going on? How dare Luna speak to me in that tone? Give me the phone." Aunt Sophie started to look flustered, her eyes evasive, and she whispered, "My daughter, you shouldn't look at those things right now." But Lily quickly snatched the phone Uncle Ben had left on the bedside table. The more she scrolled, the heavier her breathing became. Below the related articles were countless abusive comments, criticizing her and saying she deserved it. Some even praised people for turning Lily's photos into mocking memes everywhere. No way, they're all crazy, everyone's crazy, they deserve to die, you all deserve to die." Lily slammed the phone onto the floor, completely losing control. "I'll kill them, I'll kill all of them." She tried to struggle up, flipping the blanket, but beneath it was only emptiness. She had forgotten she had lost her legs. Seeing this, Aunt Sophie hugged her tightly, heartbroken. "Daughter, you must calm down." As if suddenly remembering something, Lily frantically reached up to touch her face. "My face, what happened to my face? Mirror, where's a mirror?" Aunt Sophie exchanged glances with her husband, then forced a placating smile. "Daughter, you fell from a cliff, it's a miracle you're alive. It's normal for your face to be injured." I don't believe it, give me a mirror now." Lily seemed to go mad, muttering, "Mirror, mirror," like she was possessed. Aunt Sophie refused to give her one, so Lily bit her mother's hand hard. Finally, reluctantly, Aunt Sophie had to hand her phone over for Lily to use as a mirror. Lily stared at her reflection, muttering in disbelief. No way, this isn't me. With this face, how can I ever take beautiful photos again? Everything is ruined," she repeated, distraught. "Ruined, everything's ruined." Her eyes glazed over, losing all vitality, her entire being as if drained of life. Hearing this, I found it utterly ridiculous. After everything she'd been through, narrowly escaping death, losing her legs, the only thing she could still think about was taking photos. I shook my head, feeling she was completely beyond redemption. My mother then officially made her stance clear to Aunt Sophie. "From now on, we will have no further relations with your family." We left the hospital. A few days later, we returned home. But on the very day of our return, we received news that Lily had committed suicide. When I first heard the news, I felt a slight sense of poignant reflection. In my eyes, the reason for her complete collapse was the destruction of her face. Online, the incident once again caused a massive stir. Countless opinions were voiced, and people began to debate. Are people nowadays too obsessed with looking good in photos? Should we learn to live fully in the present instead of constantly striving for perfect pictures? In summary, for me, all the resentment and injustice of my past life could finally be let go. And from there, my new life officially began.